Hello and welcome back to another Elaine and Ron Have a Response To,
Greetings.
also known as EaRHaRt, because we've embraced that.
It was a handy acronym. It was better than like or something.
It's funny that it actually makes a word.
Yeah.
And so we just went with it, and then eventually we realized who that was. Well, I mean, we knew, but anyway.
Yep.
We have some responses to Shawn and Carter Have a Podcast.
Yeah, just a few, but I think we'll start with some news from 48.
Shawn and Carter Have a Podcast number 48. Congratulations, fellows, for 1 year of podcasting. I have to say, from only making it to EaRHaRt 10 ourselves, I commend you for your effort and your diligence in releasing your podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty excellent. 52 weeks in a year, 48 podcasts. That's only 4 weeks that maybe they didn't put one out.
Right.
That's awesome.
Their average is much better.
And they had side projects too.
They do, and they're really busy, and somehow they do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what day we started? I guess we could look it up.
I don't. That's a really good question. I think someone should look it up and comment and tell us.
It makes me wonder what we're going to end up with after a year.
I'm hoping
to 15.
I was going to say, I'm hoping for 12. Set the expectations low.
Once a month?
Yeah. I've listened to some podcasts that are once a month.
I've been told that you should aim lower, and then when you beat your own expectations, then you feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to failing them.
I'm shooting for 10. So when do you know what episode you started listening to Shawn and Carter?
Oh my goodness. You know, when I think back on how I started listening to Shawn and Carter Had a Podcast, that was around the same time that I discovered Shawn on YouTube. And honestly, I think they were talking a lot about Apple by then. I mean, of course they were, but
Yep.
I cannot tell you specifically which one I started on. No, because I also went back and retro listened to a lot of them. So
yeah, I did the same. I'm pretty sure I started with either 3 or 6. I want to say it was 6, and then I went and caught up on 1 through 5. And basically, I started because Shawn played one of my Minecraft maps, and then we just kind of started talking and checked out his channel and all that good stuff.
I wonder if I might actually be reaching the 1 year mark upon when I joined this circle of friends and Minecraftiness. It is kind of like an era, though. I mean, not to wax on too long, but like you can look back and you can see a division of when you met a certain group of people and what it's been like, and it's certainly special, I think. But
oh yeah, no, the last 2 years for me have been like, a completely additional group of friends and activities that just didn't exist before. It's almost like having a second life, if you will, or a third or a fourth or whatever.
It's definitely like the 8-byte pen name is certainly a whole nother part of my life. It's completely different. It's like non-related but separate, and it's fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Just speaking of 8-bit, I don't know if you saw. I started a series on my YouTube channel, actually on the channel that this will be posted up this time, but going back and playing my old NES system.
Yes, and I love it. I've been watching every single one.
Oh, cool.
One of the and let's take a moment to talk about why this series is great.
Sure.
I know you're like, I'm all for it. Well, folks, Ron didn't know that I was going to praise his series here. No. But basically, I like it because your son is there playing these games, and your son is approximately the same age that I was when I first started playing those games, too. So it's special to me because it's funny to watch him go through, but then also it's funny because you can see him play the game, and then you know that he's played better games. So he's getting frustrated with the Nintendo programming, but when I was a kid, those were the best games. So It's funny. It's funny how he gets frustrated and it's like, yeah, they're really hard. They used to be really unforgiving games,
Yeah,
really unforgiving, especially the one that you just did, which was Ghosts and Goblins.
yeah,
Talk about a really unforgiving game.
yeah. There would. I mean, when we played them, there wasn't anything to compare it to. So like the fact that you could continue, to another round, and even though you start at the beginning of the round, you don't have to go back through round one. You could start at round two. It was
Right.
amazing.
And it's funny because I have a lot of memories playing these games with my dad, and I didn't beat Ghost and Goblins. I got to watch my dad beat Ghost and Goblins because that game is so hard.
Yeah,
Like it's basically what you showed. If you die, you're back.
yeah,
I mean, you're gone, and then you get 3 lives. That's it. And the weapons that you pick up. Oh, you picked up the torch. Too bad.
yeah.
Too
Well,
bad. You just lost your cool dagger. You
well,
can burn things to death with the torch.
yeah. In that series, the thing that I haven't made a big explanation of, but like we're literally reaching down into the box, pulling out a game, putting it in, and you're seeing him play it for the very first time. So he doesn't have any practice. Like, if I played it for an hour or two, I'd be cruising through all the levels. But
When he was playing Wrecking Crew and he kept falling off that ledge in the wrong order, I was like, I've been there. I've been there.
yeah,
I did that so many times.
yeah,
So
it's a lot of fun. I I would have to say that if I hadn't started listening to Shawn and seen his series on his YouTube channel about the Teenage Journal, I probably would not have pulled it out of the basement and filmed it.
mhm.
So to kind of bring it back to SCHP, he's inspired me to do this in some way. So, yeah.
Keep going with it. That is one of
Well,
my favorite things on YouTube right now. It
well,
is.
well, thank you. What's funny is, I mean, I've got the list of games that I pulled out of the closet, and I went on online and I bought a couple games that I had played a ton of, and I could have swore that I owned, but apparently didn't. So I've got a couple more added to the list, and I think the list will just keep getting longer as we go. So we'll see.
Well, you're
But
playing some of the good ones. There's some really awful ones. There's some really, really bad ones.
yep, yep,
And your son has no idea what frustration is
yeah. Well,
yet.
the other thing I didn't really make a big deal of is like he's like we've played with the Atari. We've got some of these games on Flash and on like classic collector disc things, like compilation discs.
Hmm.
So he's seen some of these, and he's watched a lot of YouTubers that go back and play retro games as well. So he is familiar with some of these.
Hmm.
Like he knew about Ghost and Goblins before we played it. But
That's impressive.
yeah, oh yeah, he probably could name most of these games.
That's good.
So he's looking forward to Mega Man and
Are you gonna go through the Marios?
well,
You're gonna leave.
we did the Super Mario 1 and 2. I don't think I uploaded that one yet, but
Okay. Because
those
I can't remember if you went through them or not.
yeah, 1 was the
But
first one. And
okay.
I'd never owned 3. I rented 3. So I don't have 3 to play, but
Are you gonna do Metroid?
we already recorded Metroid. We recorded 2 hours of Metroid that I edited down. We recorded 4 hours of Ultima Avatar, which is one that Shawn recommended.
Hmm.
And I made the mistake of filming the whole thing in one file, and it was like something like 6 gig or something. And
What do you do? What
the
do you do with
I,
3 hours of video?
well, it was 4 hours of webcam plus 4 hours of frapsing the game.
Oh my
So it was like
goodness.
8 hours all in the editor at once. So I had to cut it up into smaller chunks and then edit it in parts and then put the parts. Oh, it took me all day to edit that one. So
I cherish every episode as it comes out. Thank you so much for all your effort. It's been really nostalgic and great. Thumbs up.
yeah, when we're done, I'll probably do like an actual let's play of at least one of them. So it's not just like a two people failing miserably at them.
So that was a bit of an impromptu. Elaine has a response to Ron's
Yeah, no, well,
NES
it,
retro
it,
thing.
Actually in Shawn and Carter 49, Shawn talked about playing his Nintendo device at the beach.
Yes, he
And,
did.
and one of the only I just bring this up because I've tried to play my DS outside. I've tried to play it like on the couch with the window open,
Hmm.
and I can't play it because there's a glare on the screen. So I don't know how he did it. He must have been like under a beach towel or something.
I no, I really do picture him at the beach, like there's the ocean, and I guess he had to have some shade.
Well,
I
he talked about like some sunburn. I pictured like his thumbs being sunburned, but the rest of his fingers not because they were on top of the DS. I don't
That's
know.
true. That's true. So
Uh,
he's apparently playing a lot of Pokemons.
yeah, yeah,
He's got to catch them all, even at the beach.
yeah,
But what else is a vacation for, I ask you? So,
yeah. That's fine. Are you a Poke fan?
no. I'm not a fan, but
Okay,
it's more like it hasn't enthralled me.
okay.
So it's mostly just limited exposure.
I,
I know of the
I,
Pokemons.
I maybe someday I'll do a Pokemon retro video series because I've got lots to share about that as well, but
Okay,
not
I would
today.
I would watch it. I would. I would. I would. I would like. I need to know more about the Pokemons, and you would teach me, and that would be good.
So the other thing in Shawn and Carter 49 that I wanted to bring up, and I
Hmm.
was really tempted to do a separate one-off video log, but I thought I would just touch on it here. Sometimes I ask random questions that they respond to on their
You
program,
don't. You don't say.
and the one that they chose to talk about was basically taking shelter in a fast food restaurant during an apocalypse.
Right,
And the
and then they got stuck on what kind of apocalypse?
yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, why are you making it so hard? Like, does it really matter what kind of apocalypse? Why would that change which fast food restaurant you hide in?
Well, I guess it would only in terms of what was threatening you. I could see why they would care what kind of apocalypse, but
But like, is a McDonald's more fortified than a Burger King or something like that? Or
no, no, they're not.
but it got me thinking, and it got me thinking that they went straight to zombie apocalypse,
Hmm.
and I was really bummed out because I was like, oh my gosh, zombie apocalypse is so cliche right now. Like
Well, it's
like
overdone for certain.
yeah, like
Everybody's thinking about it.
like when I start up, so post-apocalypse fiction is probably my favorite genre of books, and I started back with Thundar the Barbarian on Saturday morning cartoons when I was like 7 years old or whatever.
Hmm.
And growing up, and like most of the books that I've read have been, nuclear apocalypse, or maybe like some sort of sudden flu that wiped out the population. And so for me, an apocalypse is where there's survivors, but the world is like in ruins, and you're basically surviving man versus, the elements and maybe bandits, but there's no supernatural like zombies.
Right. When I heard the question before they went to zombie apocalypse, I had thought that maybe it was an apocalypse where most of the human race got wiped out
Yeah.
one way or another. Now, how much damage? I don't know.
And then
Is there? Did you have? I mean, I want to know. Did you have a certain restaurant that you would choose to bunker down in more than another type of restaurant?
not really, but I was thinking through. So after like I thought of the question and then posed it, then I started thinking like, okay, which restaurant has the biggest freezer space and might have the biggest store of food? Which
Hmm.
one might actually have food that would be good for you after a month of eating the same the same thing over and over. That
The trouble is that not a lot of them would have much of anything to offer even after a day or two.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I thought about it in terms of what the restaurant, how comfortable the restaurant was itself. Like having a good kitchen would have been important. It'd be nice if the food was somehow easily stored. But I guess, if you went in terms of how comfortable the restaurant was, if you went to Burger King, for example, they can have some really big play places. You could you could get inside there and actually have like a place to lay down that was somewhat concealed. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I think, and part of the question too comes from just like, all my life, like wherever I happen to be, I think like, okay, what if I was stuck in this building for the rest of my life? Like, how would I survive in this environment? Like, what's my backup plan? I've just always done that. And I think it's a symptom of role-playing games to some
yeah,
degree.
no, yeah. That when I'm really bored at work, I think about what I would do if it was the apocalypse
Yeah.
right then.
Yeah,
Like
like,
I like how would I get to my family members, or how would I? Okay, the phones are down. What do you do? Like there's no internet, no phone.
yeah,
What do you do? Well, you panic probably, but you know.
yeah.
All right.
So that was that. Just I thought a lot about my question after they reacted to it, which is, I think, the whole nature of why we're responding to their response. So,
I think what was funny about their response was that they're like fast food restaurant. I would never, and it's kind of true. It's not. But if
yeah,
you had to,
like
I
if,
guess my answer is Burger King.
okay,
What? Sure.
my
Home of the
my
Whopper.
like my default when I say fast food, I think of McDonald's and being in a McDonald's, but that wasn't any sort of scientific choice on my part. So,
All right. Hey, some not so breaking news, but breaking news
okay,
that has nothing to do with Shawn and Carter had a podcast. It actually has nothing to do with the normal things that we talk about either. But just in case folks aren't aware, this has to do with our hashtag on Twitter, or EaRHaRt. And as you would rightly suspect, there's a very famous person who gets more hashtag responses than we do. Um,
yeah, I was when we first kind of stumbled on the acronym for EarHeart, and then I did a search to see if anyone was using pound EarHeart. I was quite surprised, actually.
I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
everybody talking about Amelia Earhart, which was a very famous woman who tried to fly around the world and failed. Um, but she was very brave, and her plane disappeared. And the breaking news is that right now there has been a big search going on for all of July, and it's in search of the wreckage of Amelia Earhart's plane, and they're pretty certain. They're pretty certain that it's off the west end of a tiny, tiny little island between Hawaii and Australia,
mm.
right? And it's called Nikumaroro.
Isn't that where Lost takes place?
I have no idea. But if anybody's interested in history, and they're interested in this, what I consider, it's as big as finding the Titanic. It's a big deal. So on this island, if you follow these source links that we are going to provide, there's all sorts of pictures, and they've kind of pieced it together. They found evidence of two people on the island having unfortunately died from starvation.
Oh,
But
so they think she landed there?
yeah,
Oh,
that she lived, that her plane wrecked, and then she got to the island, and then she died over the
mm,
course of 3 or 4 days.
wow.
Isn't that abysmal? But but they've basically found a lot of things that have pointed to confirming. I think that it's probably true. They've found like her makeup cases and stuff like that, like from the from the era that she crashed. They found makeup,
Huh.
and it's just weird. Like what? Well, one, I didn't think of her as taking her makeup on the plane, but
Yeah,
then when I thought about it, I'm like, well, why wouldn't she? Like
sure.
if it was just if she was, because apparently she was really embarrassed about her freckles, and so she wanted to cover up her freckles,
Oh, jeez.
and so they found the powder, they found the concealer, I guess, and it's like, whoa, that's amazing, but also makes it really sad because that means that she lived and that nobody found her.
Yeah. See,
And ah,
to me, like I know where Hawaii is, I know where Australia are on the map, but I can't kind of get my head into the scale of how much, water there is between the two, like how many hours of travel that is, and for someone to disappear between there and basically be gone, missing for 75 years, that's like a
Right.
needle in a haystack.
Yep. So therein's all the alien capture stories that many, many people are fond of telling. But, the same people will probably just be like, well, the aliens put her back. Um,
They
but
took
so,
took her but left her makeup.
that's right.
Yeah, so if you're going to use the pound EaRHaRt Twitter, you may help in the aid of discovering what happened to her, I guess.
Right. Mostly I tell you this because it's cool and it's very cool, but also because of the breaking news, there's no way we're going to see your hashtag ER message. If you're going to communicate with us on Twitter, it's probably much better for you to do an at 8BitDame or at rsmalec. We're
Yeah.
both on Twitter. So just talk to us directly and we'll know that you're talking about EaRHaRt or our podcast, our EaRHaRt.
Yep.
We'll know.
We'll
We'll
know.
know.
So speaking of brave female adventurers,
Segue time. We did a covering of The Legend of Korra, the Avatar project. And the last time that we talked about this, we asked ourselves the question, well, what could they possibly do next? Fortuitous for us, there was a panel at a convention. I don't think it was Comic-Con. It might have been, no. A very big convention. Avatar, The Last Airbender people had a panel, and in that panel, they revealed a lot of things that helped people understand what's going to happen next. And I have a small list here that I have personally gone through and decided that it's not too spoily to talk about. So I would rate this as a safe conversation that we're about to have.
okay.
But there are some people who are some hardcore sort of don't spoil me about anything, in which case, sadly, we're getting ready to talk a little bit about the future of Avatar: The Legend of Korra.
Well, before people tune out, like, did they give a date when it's returning? Do we know when?
No,
Okay.
I didn't. If maybe that's out there now, but this is that no, they're working on it furiously. So
Okay.
they're really
So,
busy. So there's a source link down. We're gonna have to give them this.
yes.
So basically, point by point, uh, the most important thing and the happiest thing for me personally is that they have now been expanded to 4 books or 4 seasons, totaling a whopping 52 episodes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so we've watched 12, which means the second season is going to be 14, 2 episodes longer, and then we're going to have 2 seasons after that of 13 episodes apiece.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because the first one I felt just really wrapped up well, and I hope this doesn't feel like a jump. I'm not sure how they're gonna connect it smoothly, but I have every faith that they will.
I think they were I feel like that was Korra's coming of age story.
Sure.
And so we learned a lot about personality and how hard it was for her to become a full-fledged avatar. And now I think that's concluded.
Yeah, that
Um,
that wasn't the actual legend, that was the backstory.
it yes, apparently.
So well, I mean, there's got to be something bigger that she does.
And I think the next 3 books are going to cover it. But maybe they'll take it. Maybe each book is going to be a separate issue that she needs to deal with. Who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows how they're going to do this? But I do know the name of book 2,
Okay. Lay it on.
Spirits.
Okay.
And it will take approximately 6 months after the end of book 1.
Well,
So we're half a year later, and it's called Spirits.
yeah.
It's not named after one of the elements, but it is named after something that the Avatar does exclusively, which is communicate with the spirit world.
Okay. I hope
So,
The only thing I would say is I hope it's not a series of like every other episode is a flashback to a different avatar and kind of shows you their life.
Well, the next bit of information that I have to tell you is we're going to get a lot of spirit world action. And the book 2 will explore the history of the Avatar, the creation of the Avatar, which I'm interested in. So it's going to be an origins sort of thing, and more about the spirit world, which I think the spirit world is way, way cool, and I am super excited to see more about it.
Yep, yep. I don't mean to cast negative. I just hope they show more of what she's doing as opposed to just only flashbacks, is what I mean to say.
I think it will have plenty to do with her and her family, and I think it's going to be Korra-rific, and we're going to see more of Bolin, and we're going to see more of Mako, and I even think that we're going to see more of Asami. I think that that's the troop, and we're going to see a lot of them.
Cool.
Then also, I'm excited to say that pro bending is not over, and they're going to do more pro bending. So we're going to get a lot of cool sporty action, sort of like the Quidditch to the Harry Potter now is pro bending to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Sure, I'm okay with that.
And then also, probably with much relief, it's going to be outside of Republic City. We're going to see the world. We're going to see a lot more of the world. If you want more, there is more under that link. Go check it out. But I didn't want to talk about all of it because, again, I don't know what level of spoily goodness is good and then bad. So, super excited. Go check it out. It's a great link. And that whole website is just a great source of Avatar news.
Yeah, if you hear any news that has happened since this link, let us know as well.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have any theories on what the next big bad will be for season 2?
I really have no idea. Possibly they introduced something, in the background that we ignored, but like I said, I felt like they wrapped up the first book very well, so I don't know what's going to happen next.
I kind of feel like the big bad of season 1, other than being Amon, was actually bloodbending. Like that was the really bad thing,
Yeah. Do
But
you think they'll go? Did Asami's dad get away or did he die? I can't remember now.
she knocked him out, turned him in. I don't think he
So,
died. I don't think she killed him.
like, I mean, they're on the edge of this technological revolution. Do you think there'll be sort of like a robots rise up and try to take over the Avatar world, or is it not quite late enough for that yet?
After the season that we just had, I'm not going to go forward and say that that would be a bad thing. I mean, if anybody can make such a premise almost awesome, I feel like these storytellers could make that amazing. But I hope not.
It's
I don't want to. That's not the story. I don't.
I would just like far future after these 4 books are out, I would be really interested in some sort of futuristic sci-fi Avatar series, like the great 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 grandchild of Korra, and see what it's like flying around in space with the Avatar. I'm just throwing that out there.
Space Avatar. Each planet is a bending style.
Yeah. So
You know,
anyway,
if these people ever met a normal planet like planet Earth, they would take over. They're so powerful. Anyway,
I don't know. Maybe their stuff wouldn't work here. Maybe it's anyway.
Avatar Mundania. Oh man.
So we're looking forward to that series. We will definitely talk about it, and
With much anticipation. Whenever that comes out, we're gonna jump right back in. I know we will.
yeah.
So.
But there is a series that we're still in the middle of.
That's true. The series that we can take as we go with no threats of releases when we can't deal with it. Here we are, Sandman issues 9 and 10. So
Yes.
we're going to continue our Sandman book club. If you would like to join us, just go right on out and find The Sandman, written by Neil Gaiman. It is a graphic novel, and it's beautiful and you should read it. We're on Tales in the Sand. A small premise of the Tales in the Sand. It is a manhood ritual. There's an old man telling a younger man in a desert an ancient story that is only verbally told. I forget the name of that particular. There's a name for that
Uh,
tradition when something's only spoken word. It's not
sto-
written down.
storytelling.
Well, I mean, okay,
Yeah, no,
other than
I
it's
you talk, I'll Google.
quick Google. Um, and the old man is telling the young man the tragic love between Dream and Queen Nada. So now we're back to Nada. The young woman, for those who have been following with us, is we met her once before in the first story arc when Dream went to hell. His lover was in hell. And Dream was like, I can't release you because I'm not better, basically. And Nada was begging for release. So now we get to hear the story behind Nada. And the reason that she ended up there was because, fearing the consequences of loving an immortal, she ended up spurning him and refusing his love because it wasn't supposed to be. And in anger, Dream said, well, you're going to hell. And that's where she's at. It's actually a very sad story. So,
Yeah, the whole story took place basically in the past and not very different than the first 8 books of the series.
mhm.
It was all
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
no, I was going to say it was also told from the men's point of view,
Mhm.
and apparently there's another version of the story told from the women's point of view, and I really want to know what that would be.
Yeah, I would like to know that too. And I don't know if it is told from the women's point of view. I don't know if we get to know that. Um, the it's a flashback tale. Something that's important right now is that now we're back up. We've come back around to setup. We've completed the first story arc, and now we are in a whole new book, actually. Um, and this book it's starting off this tale of Nada for a reason. There's not a lot to say about this issue, except for the fact that her story is very sad, and Dream, for whatever reason, could not let her go. They fell in love, and Dream would not take no for an answer. And he really put her in a position where she had no control, no say, no will. I mean, she ended up being with him for a night, but then in the morning she killed herself. So that and her intentions um were to save everybody. Like, for whatever reason, Queen Nada knew that he was endless and knew that there was this rule that the endless cannot pair with a mortal. It's not allowed, it's not done, it's not kosher with the universe and the way that the stars align. It doesn't, Dream could not be with Nada, but Dream, for whatever reason, was kind of like, I don't follow the rules. I'll make you my dream queen, and kind of like,
Was
kind of,
denied.
yeah. For
Yeah,
some reason, I was just strongly reminded of Jareth and the Labyrinth and Sarah, and he's like, just do what I'll say, and I'll do anything for you, and he was spurned.
yeah. I need to go back and watch that. I saw that when I was really young. I don't really remember what actually happens other than some of the costuming.
Segue to
Yeah.
Labyrinth.
Well, this
Um,
this this whole book reminded me though of a area from the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. I don't know if you've ever read that.
mhm, I
And
had.
there's a city called Ruidian, which is the city of dreams. It's in a desert and it's basically in ruins, and you go there to be tested.
Mhm.
And it just had some similarities, which obviously all of these books in the Sandman series are very, heavily attributed to myths and probably the same things that Robert Jordan was referring to. So
Yeah, either the two authors were looking at the same myth, which is very likely, or or maybe maybe Neil Gaiman was kind of like, I like that idea. I'm going to write about a glass city in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, or vice versa. I don't know which came first, but it was a good episode. It didn't, by itself, I don't think it did anything for me from the Sandman story other than almost make me think he's weaker than he's been before, like emotionally weaker.
Hmm.
But I'm interested how this will come back because we did see her a bunch of episodes ago, and it was like, well, who's that? So she's obviously going to echo again.
Hmm. And again, this is set up.
Yep.
He's telling us this so that he can tell us something else. And so we go into the doll's house. So meanwhile, Dream's androgynous sibling, Desire, calls upon its twin, Despair, to inform her that there is a new thing called a dream vortex. It's actually not a new thing. It's happened before, apparently. But it's the first time that we as readers are introduced to the concept of a dream vortex. And then the two of them allude to a scheme against Dream. And Dream reviews a census of his realm and discovers that 4 of his creations are currently missing. And so he, the king of dreams, and needing to take care of the dreamland or the dream world, he goes out to find them. Then the rest of the issue is about a young woman named Rose Walker and her mother, Miranda, and they go off on a trip to meet Unity Kincaid, who was also somebody that we saw in the first arc. To remind you, it's a woman who was put to sleep. She could not wake up. She had the sleeping sickness because Dream was encased in his bubble, and
Oh
so a
yeah.
lot of people fell asleep. This is one of this. This is the one that actually was well, she was raped in her sleep, and she ended up having a baby, and losing the baby, like giving birth to this baby, all while she was
Yep.
asleep.
And this
So
this is actually her granddaughter, right?
right, as it turns out, Miranda is the mother of Rose Walker. So there's Rose and her mother Miranda, and Miranda is the child of the woman who was in the deep sleep. So it's a big family reunion,
Yeah.
and that's basically it. They all get together, and Rose, her mother, and the grandmother are at the end of the episode. They are reunited at that point.
Yeah, this one was interesting because I caught on the 4 major arcana that are missing because the last arc was Dream going and finding his 3 items and he got them, and now he's got to probably go find 4 more items that are missing. So I thought that was you know a quest for multiple items again, and
Hmm.
then I wasn't. I it took me a while to understand what was going with, like, remember who these women were and figure out what was actually going on. But
Well, there's a couple really important things that happen. Well, first of all, this is the first conversation we see of any endless with another endless that's not Dream.
mhm.
So we both get to see, and they're all related. They talk about each other as brothers and sisters. So
Well, other
Desire,
than other than Death, though, right?
I don't know.
Because remember he met with Death a couple like
Oh,
a
well, okay, that's true. Death is the first one we met.
yeah,
This is Desire and Despair, 2 more.
yep, yep.
And we even saw Destiny is sort of like a cameo in earlier. But so Desire and Despair. Desire basically admits to Despair, or Despair teases Desire and says, "Oh, you tried to get Dream earlier. It didn't work." So then now we realize, or the implication here is that Desire made Dream desire nada, and it wasn't something that he could rationally prevent.
Oh, I missed that part actually.
So that's why Dream was so crazy for Nada,
Oh, this
because because
okay.
Desire did it to him.
Because you know what? I picked up on the part that Desire and Despair were scheming against the 3 elders, which I think is Death, Dream, and probably Destiny. But I,
Probably.
I guess I completely missed the part that they. Oh, so this ties back to book 9. I got it.
Hmm.
I got it. Cool.
And then the reason that they're talking about it is Desire tells Despair, I believe, that there's another dream vortex.
Yep.
And then we start to learn about Rose. Rose is a person, but apparently she's a person with very special properties. She has a dream and she ends up talking to Abel. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Get to
the
see
two
Keen.
brothers.
Yeah, and then we get to see Goldie again. Irving.
Yep.
Irving the gargoyle. Um, Still my favorite line. You will always be Irving in my heart. Oh, poor Abel. Man, my heart will go out to Abel. And he writes it this way on purpose. It's just a sorry man who just wants his brother to love him.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
it's so horrible. Considering. So, all right. We have desire. Desire is not a gender. Desire is just desire. A neutral gender. And I think despair's female, if it matters.
I don't have we. It's actually been a couple weeks since I read this book, and I don't have it in front of me. But is it is Despair seen? Yeah, I think she is.
Yes, and she's really ugly.
That's right. That's right.
And let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's going on. No, it was just a setup. It was just a setup for Rose and her family, and she was born from the sleeping woman eventually.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I noted too is that Dream, like as soon as it's revealed that there's a vortex and it's Rose, like Dream's a miniature version of Dream is in the dollhouse watching these women have this reunion, the granddaughter, and he's watching from the dollhouse as they have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows it's her, and I suspect that he's going to make his move in the next book.
Yep, I think we're about to see some pretty amazing adventures of Rose. I think that's what's about to happen to her.
It's kind of funny because like when I hear Rose, and then I think of like Dreams, this powerful guy, I think of like Doctor Who and his companions.
Yeah.
So I wonder, and the vortex.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it kind of pulls on that same thought. All right, so that's basically it. A lot of setup, two very pleasant stories in comparison to some of the horror that we've seen earlier in this series. And that means that we are now moving on to episode 11, which is Moving In, and episode 12, which is Playing House.
Excellent.
Issue episode, much the same thing. So we're going to continue on with Sandman. Please join it with us in the future as we talk about it, as we discuss it. It's a great series. What do we have coming up? What are we doing next?
Well, I think since we're done with Korra, we probably need to find some entertainment property to fill the space. And I know you've talked about being a fan of a little sci-fi show that was on Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time. And a spinning hunk of metal.
I think actually
humans, aliens, entrepreneurs.
you must be talking about Babylon 5.
I'm talking about Babylon 5.
Yeah, you know what's awesome about Babylon 5? So I had never watched it, and we talked about this before about people riding, playing polo on the back of horses and stuff. But I've recently watched the whole first season, and I think I'm ready to talk about it. Maybe in our next episode. And I've already 8 episodes into season 2, so I've got plenty of notes to discuss.
I have good news for our viewers. If you have not watched Babylon 5 or you've watched it and you want an easy way to watch it again, it used to be available on Netflix, but it was pulled, and I feel like it was pulled because it's available now on the WB. You can go to the Warner Brothers website and find seasons 1 and 2 in their entirety and watch them there for free.
Oh, really? That's
yes.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. So if you haven't had a chance to watch season 1 before we talk about it, the next time that we do EaRHaRt, we're going to talk about all of season 1 in one big block.
Yeah, I think we can cover it. It's from what I was told and from what I experienced, it's it lays a lot of groundwork, but things really pick up in season two. So
hmm And then, like, we're probably going to piecemeal it out after because this first season is really so much setup work that talking about it episode by episode really wouldn't, it's not going to suit our purpose.
yeah,
So we're going to do one big season block.
yeah.
And truthfully, I would like to get Carter on here to talk about it, but Carter's too busy.
Well,
So,
maybe sometime we can get him on for like at least a special episode, a very special Babylon episode.
very special episode. Oh.
I'll tell you, I think we're really destined to do this show though, and I think it's going to be a great conversation because um, when I was watching, I think it was episode 8 of season 2,
hmm
I realized that one of the um, so Babylon 5 is a space station, and one of the restaurants or the officers club on Babylon 5 in season 2 is called EaRHaRt's.
Yay!
And I heard them say it, and I was like, wait a minute. And then I went and looked it up on Babylon 5 wiki, and sure enough, it's basically a exclusive officers club named for Amelia Earhart. So, we talked about coincidences and projects that, feel right.
It's
So
a sign.
it is.
And also it gives more validity to our podcast name. If we talk about Bab 5, we can say, "Well, we're just doing what, you know, your
Yeah.
heart."
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we'll like role play like we're podcasting from the officers club. Maybe not.
That's probably going to require more talent for me than I have.
Oh, but if anybody wants to do an animated version of our podcast, you could set it in the EarHart Officers Club.
We could have aliens behind us. That would be keen. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
And Elaine can be putting on makeup, and I can be, I don't know, doing
Hiding
something.
freckles.
Playing Nintendo in the background.
Yes.
There we go. So,
Excellent. So if you have any questions, comments, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for making the journey over to Ron's channel. And check out that series of his. It's if you're already here. I'm sure he has it posted up somewhere
yep,
relevant.
yep.
You should take a look for it. It's only about he keeps them to about 15 minutes. It seems like 15 to 20 minutes. So they're great. Anyway,
Cool.
Babylon 5 coming right up.
Yep. And
More Sandman homework. More Shawn and Carter have a podcast, I'm sure.
absolutely.
Also, I guess we could use some random questions if anybody had them.
Oh yeah, you know what? We didn't really. There's been sort of a general lull in random questions. There's another podcast we might as well mention, and maybe I'll even talk about it next week. But DB Moulton,
Mm-hmm.
who's a fan of Shawn and Carter, and
Who always gives us these wonderful long comments. I love DB Moulton. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you for that.
he uh, so the Lan Cast has been asking for random questions, and they just did an episode with Shawn actually called Guys Night Out, where they talked about some hilarious random questions. So I guess before we go, do you have any random questions?
Are you watching the Olympics?
Ooh, that's a really good, timely question. I haven't seen a single minute of the Olympics coverage.
There you go. No, I was going to ask you which event are you the most impressed by? Which
Um, I,
which athletic summer event is the one that you're like, I can't believe that there are people on this earth that do nothing but train for this.
well, every time I go to Google, I see an image of the Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
and these I love these Google what they do with their logo,
Mm-hmm.
and I just happen to be looking at the field hockey logo. I guess it's women's field hockey, um, which is a sport I've never played, and um, yeah,
So is your answer women's field
I
hockey?
guess so. Yep.
Like the idea that there's these athletes that are training year round for 4 years or more all their life to play women's field hockey at the Olympics.
Yeah, I'll say the day that the opening ceremonies were taking place, the number of tweets that I saw was pretty staggering. I actually felt a lot of national pride that the folks in England have for their country, and I realized how many people from Twitter I follow from England
Hmm.
or the UK in general, and they were having a blast. So good for
Those
them.
opening ceremonies were something else. I mean, I know we're getting into it now, but I watched the opening ceremonies. I never do. And it just so happens that this year I was at home stuffing envelopes. I was doing my envelopes for my wedding, and I was sitting down with my one of my best friends, and we were stuffing envelopes and we were watching the open ceremonies. It was great. I'm probably going to remember this forever because um, other than these insane things that people do for the opening ceremonies now, especially I feel like after China had hosted, I feel like the bar is so high, so rocket high for these huge shows. Basically, the best part, which I'm sure maybe you've heard people talking about, is when they got the guy who plays James Bond now.
Okay.
And James Bond went to the Queen. It was the Queen in the shot. And James Bond, the fictional character, and the Queen of England got into a helicopter, and then they were just flying over England, showing off all the things that, sorry, London, showing all the things that are great about London, both fictional and real.
Mm,
And
yeah.
then fictionally, the Queen, they go over the arena, and then quote unquote the Queen jumps out of the helicopter, James Bond, and parachutes into the, and you're like, oh, that's so funny because that's a dude up in that helicopter wearing the Queen's dress. And then the Queen comes out from somewhere else and stands there, and she is like so super serious. Like she is not cracking a smile. She looks like she is just not amused. But that's because she's the Queen.
She's
So
stoic.
she was very very stoic. There's a couple memes floating around about that expression that she had and what she might be thinking. So it's really funny stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I just haven't really had time to do it. I appreciate the Olympics. I think the year that it was in Atlanta, we were really big into it, and I watched it all. And every year since then, it's kind of come and went, and I haven't really paid attention other than those little game tokens on the back of McDonald's fry packages.
I will say that the event that blows my mind every time I see it is synchronized diving.
Oh yeah.
Blows my mind. Like I'm like, what are they? Why do people? But they do, and they're amazing. Like just amazing. Triple tuck, flip, twisted, roundhouse into the water, no splash. Like what? People are nuts. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, between now and our next episode, I'll try to watch some event so at least I can pull my end of the conversation.
I'm watching a lot of Olympics. I got it on record now, so I'm sure we can talk more about that too. The
Awesome.
closing ceremonies, they're coming. All right. Well,
All right.
that's all I got.
Yep. Same here.
We'll see you all next time.
Yep. Take care. We'll see you on EaRHaRt 11.
Yay! We're beating our goal.
Well, we got to get this one out first.
Bye.
Bye.